Hello, my name's Graham Corbett. I'm a floral stylist and the founder of Bloom & Burn. And today I'm going to show you how to make a hand-tied bouquet. So let's start by picking out the flowers. You want a real mix of sizes and shapes and different textures. You kind of have your fillers and then you have your kind of stars. You want to make the most of them, but they do need these supporting characters as well. And when you're picking your foliage, think of things that are going to lengthen your design and are going to add width to it. So I want my bouquets to be big, I want them to be bouncy, I want them to have loads of movement and loads of texture. The twine is really important at this stage. Just take a nice long length and cut that off with your scissors. I sometimes just pop it around my neck and then I know where it is. Regardless of which method you're using, we're all aiming for the same thing in the end. All the stems are going to be facing the same direction and they're going to come around in that lovely spiral effect. To get started, I would normally start with a piece of foliage or one of my kind of filler flowers, something that's a little more delicate. And I'm going to then go straight in with one of my larger flowers. So you want to think about where your binding point is going to be. So mine tends to be quite low. So the binding point is the bit where all of the stems cross. And the reason I put mine quite low is that I like to get really wide angle on my bouquets. So you're gonna cross over with the other stem and you're always crossing from the same way. So your next stem, you will come in and you'll cross over again. And then you twist. So you can lift up and twist. So you're almost using these two fingers as a vase almost to hold your flowers in position. And then as you go to add another stem, you just open up, you can add it in, and then you twist again. And this way you can kind of work round and you can really start to fill really easily. I'm gonna add in some tall delphinium. And again, we're just pulling out to one end. So we probably then need to put something in here to kind of balance it out. Color-wise on this, we're going quite crazy and everything kind of all mixed in together. And the other thing you can do, if you find something isn't in the position that you want it to be, you can easily just push and pull things from the bottom and twist them as well to get them to go exactly where you want to go. Now I've popped that in there and I've noticed I've put it right beside another stem of the same flower. Things grow in nature together, they grow in groups, so I don't worry too much about grouping stuff. I'm neglecting my kind of larger flowers, so I'm going to start adding some of those in. Even though we haven't put that much in, we've already got something that's quite big and it's getting quite wide already. Think about how gardens are organised, they're in layers often. I want that kind of dancing above everything else. And if anything's getting in your way, don't worry about just snipping it out. It's often as important the stuff that you cut out as the stuff that you keep in. As you can see, all the stems are starting to fan out now and they're all going in the same direction. With the grouping of two, I don't mind that because they're kind of stepped. What you don't want to do is put them too close together because they can end up looking like two kind of eyes at the front of your bouquet. If you do have any gaps and you want to fill those in, you can work the stem straight into the middle of the bouquet. Just relax your hand a little bit. Just missing a larger flower in the middle there. So I'm just going to feed that peony through there. I'm going to put him a little lower because you want to have something that if anyone ends up looking down on the bouquet from above, that there's something just covering your kind of working right in the middle as well. Sometimes your showstoppers can be the scariest thing to kind of pop in because they take up so much space. You just want to be careful where you put those so they're not overwhelming. So you might have noticed that the flower that we started with at the beginning isn't in the center, so don't worry about that. As you build it, that central point that you started with is going to move. And so as you keep building, resist the urge to kind of grip the bouquet too tightly. So if I was making this at home, I would have a mirror right in front of me and I'd see how my shape's going, but I can kind of see here I've got a bit of a gap where it's just feeling a little green compared to everything else. So I can see again, I've kind of done that same thing of having two peonies on the opposite sides. So I'm just going to add one more of that very bright peony in to kind of just balance it all out. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. It's got all that movement and all that texture that we were talking about. So once you're happy with your bouquet, it's time to tie it off. We've got our string that we've pre-cut. What I find really helpful is to lay it on the side of your bench. And then you're just gonna come round with the twine and you're gonna loop that round a good few times. You wanna keep it tight, but you don't wanna tie it so tight that you're gonna damage any of the stems. Just put a double knot in there and then just cut that off. That's going to be enough to hold it for now. So this is where you want to start trimming your stems on your 45-degree angle again. Level them out to begin with, and I'm going to grab my vase. So the easiest way to measure how tall you need your stems to be is to kind of pull your jar to the side of the table, hold where the flowers are going to sit at the top, and then put your first cut in one of your stems, and then come through and cut all your other stems at that 45-degree angle. Pop those in. There's your kind of finished vase ready to go. And we can leave the binding on there, or if you want to, you can cut that out and the flowers will fan out a little bit more. When I wrap the bouquet, I just stick to two things. So I've got a kind of branded tissue paper with my business name on it, and then I just use the good old brown paper. But what you're hoping to achieve is those peaks you see on delivery bouquets. And to do that, you just fold it in a slightly different way. So we're just gonna take the paper and we're gonna shift the fold just over it. So you can see here that we've created those peaks. So when we put it all together, we'll have lots of different layers coming up around the bouquet. So do that with both pieces of your brown paper. And then you want to do exactly the same thing with your tissue paper. I'm going to put the tissue paper on first, have your piece of twine ready to go. So we're just going to lay the bouquet inside the tissue paper, and you're going to kind of bunch the tissue paper around the bouquet. And you just hold it in place there with your thumb, and then you're going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. So now we've got a tissue paper on, turn it on the quarter this time, because you've already done both sides. So now we'll do quarter and then we'll flip it to the other side, and then hopefully we'll get our peaks all in the right place. Once you've got all your paper on, it's time to come through with your twine and tie that off. And then that is your bouquet wrapped and ready to go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to this channel. And if you'd like to learn more about me and my process, check out my online course on Domestika.